There's a democratic deficit in Northern Ireland, and that can be seen by decreasing voter turnout, and indeed some of the protests we've seen in the streets that show disengagement from the political process. Civic conversation would, in my view, bring people into the formal political process, giving them a voice over and above simply coming out to vote on every 4 years or whatever it may be. In civic conversation, you have the opportunity to give your views on specific issues rather than having to take a whole manifesto, take it or leave it. You can say what you want to say on different views, different aspects of the Good Friday Agreement and other issues that have become difficult in Northern Ireland politics. We went in the Good Friday Agreement from a process that was, the referendum was very much about public engagement, and there was conversations around the dinner tables in households about what we thought about this, and now it's become a purely in-house political project, and I think that's been damaging, and I think that's part of the reason why we haven't seen the full realisation of some of the opportunities of the Good Friday Agreement. Getting people back involved, getting people engaged, actually could break down some of the dogmas of politics and help find solutions. There's a number of aspects of the Good Friday Agreement that haven't been resolved. Shared future, I think, is absolutely key in that. Whilst we have political institutions, we certainly don't have a shared society. Bill of Rights, again, politically a very divisive issue, but I think the civic conversation would allow politicians to speak with authority on what people think, rather than simply assuming what people think. And another issue is the issue of the civic forum. Again, it was outlined in the Good Friday Agreement, but has never been re-established after the Assembly failing in the past. We've now got stable institutions, but we don't have the full realisation of the Good Friday Agreement. There's also the fact that we're proposing changes to the Good Friday Agreement. This was dubbed the People's Agreement, so if we're going to make changes, I don't think that can be a purely political conversation. Before we can make substantial changes to these institutions, such as reducing the number of seats or introducing voluntary coalition, or indeed some of the Green Party's campaign for getting rid of community designation, I think ultimately we need to go back and seek the people's consent to change what was their agreement. Remember, this was voted for by 71% of the people of Northern Ireland. So, we have to remember that it's not our agreement, it's not the ownership of politicians, it's the ownership of the people, and we must seek the people's consent before we change it. I think because it has become a purely political process, we went from a process of participation back to a process of representative democracy, i.e. you turn up to vote, we lay out our manifesto, you vote on it, and then for the next 4 years we claim to be speaking on your behalf because you voted us in. But there are many issues that arise that aren't addressed in manifestos, which haven't been foreseen. And again, I think we need a continual engagement. It can't simply be just a process of once every 4 years. So I think if people feel that one, politics doesn't affect their lives, or two, that the politicians aren't interested in what they want to say, they will disengage. But if we look at the issues that are affecting people's lives in Northern Ireland and ask them for their views on it, then I think we will see better engagement and a process that has more credibility in terms of being behalf of the people of Northern Ireland. In the Republic of Ireland, they're currently reviewing their constitution, and they looked at models across the world, including the Citizens' Assembly, which was held in British Columbia. The way that it's operated in the Republic of Ireland is they have 33 politicians, 66 citizens, and one chair, making up 100 people. It's seen to be a representative sample of the people of Ireland. They're looking at different aspects of their constitution. Some of those have involved the role of women in modern society, the issue of marriage, and whether or not it should be redefined to allow same-sex couples to marry. It's looking at their voting systems. It's looking at the voting age. So there's various aspects of the constitution that, for one reason or another, there's been some level of impetus to change, and now they're bringing all those issues together and bringing this form of engagement. I think we're at that point with the Good Friday Agreement. It's 15 years on. the Good Friday Agreement is akin to our constitution, and I think we do need to review it. Whilst the Green Party was fully supportive of the Good Friday Agreement at the time, it was 15 years ago. Things have changed. We went from an agreement which was needed to bring parties together. Now we have parties together. What we need is effective government, and ultimately any review of the Good Friday Agreement should be looking to produce effective government going forward. Peace and stability, while essential, should not be enough. The people of Northern Ireland should not expect less from their politicians or less from their democracy than other countries of the world. We need effective government, but we need, as I say, to take those questions of how we get there, what changes need to be made. We need to take those back and have that conversation with citizens in Northern Ireland as to what they want to see the future of Northern Ireland governance. Absolutely, and it's supposed to be a representative democracy we have, and to me, politicians are there to act as public servants, act on the will of the people, not tell the people what their will is, and I think sometimes, unfortunately, it is the case that the politicians claim to represent what others believe, but in fact what they represent is what they believe and what they're telling other people they should believe. So I think this is a good way of people to say, here's what we actually think. And as I say, in that engagement, it's about politicians learning, but it's not like citizens are this homogenous group who all think the same thing. It's citizens engaging with each other, maybe across groups that they would normally engage with, and it's not just about different community or religious backgrounds, it's different socio-economic backgrounds, different educational backgrounds. It's a wider conversation that helps us understand each other. First thing I want people to do is this is very much our idea at present. I want people to say if they agree with this idea. This is the first part of the conversation. We're putting out the call, and I'd like people to go onto my website, www.stephenagnew.net, and vote on our poll as to whether or not you want to see a civic conversation in Northern Ireland. But certainly if that poll is successful, if we get a sense that the people believe in this idea as we do, then it'll be a matter of ordinary citizens, be a matter of citizens contacting their politicians and saying they want to see this. From my role, it's a matter of me lobbying for this within Stormont and calling on the other political parties to sign up to this, and ultimately it would be for the Northern Ireland Executive to establish this process.